I'm out here, Tony.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. This is the Richland County Board of Commissioners. I'm Darrell Banks, Commissioner with fellow commissioners and our clerk, Stacy Crawl. On the line there, Stacy.
Carl is.
Carl Arnold from Richland Source is with us. And our first point of business is I would like to go into an executive session to discuss employment.
Because Carl's loved executive session so much lately, I'll make that a motion.
Then I'll second that.
And Carl, we will be back at 10 o'clock with the dog warden. So
Woof.
Commissioner Banks,
yes.
Commissioner Vero,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
Period, if you can get that as a. Actually, you should probably look. Yes.
Messy. Let's find out. Kind of.
Somewhere in your stack of papers.
I knew I had it. I wasn't sure I'd find it, but I knew I had it. What is this?
It's papers. I like to give out papers.
Okay, it's 10:04. We are back from executive session and joined by Missy Houghton. Anybody else join us from the media or anything?
One source.
Okay.
I'm in report on your executive session.
Our report on the executive session is that we will continue to seek fill some positions.
And we should have some announcements in the next couple weeks, Carl.
Absolutely.
Just for the record, and Cliff has heard me say this before, by the letter of the law, to go into executive session, you've got to state a reason, you got to have a roll call vote. And when you come out of executive session, you got to have a roll call vote. I know it's just being persnickety, but that's kind of the patronage behind it. And I've seen so many executive sessions lately and nobody seems to be doing it. So I got to start saying something. Thank you.
So I can tell you, Carl, to come out of the executive session, we followed the necessary protocol. The legal reason to go into executive session was for the hiring of a public employee. The report out on that is we are moving forward with that process. And when the time comes to make that decision, we will absolutely comply with the Open Meeting Act of the state of Ohio and do so formally, appropriately, and legally in a public session.
But the part we missed that Carl mentioned was to take a roll call vote.
To come out of executive session?
To go into and come out of.
Yeah.
Well, we did it.
We do to go in.
I'm not suggesting that you guys do otherwise. I'm just thinking for the record and things like that. You just want to make sure that you do it that way.
I did make the motion. I said, let's come out of executive session. And Cliff said, okay.
Well, then let's take a roll call.
I just let you behind the curtain, but we followed the law.
Well, and it could have happened before the Zoom feed came back on. I
Right.
don't know. I'm writing a lot of election stories, and I'm kind of in a mood.
I can assure you no topic was inappropriately discussed in executive session.
I thank you for that, and so does the Attorney General.
Okay.
Okay. Missy,
Yes.
talk security.
Yes. Nothing major. We had previously talked about switching from Better Security to Vector Security, which is offering a more interactive control panel and access from like my mobile device. So I gave you what the quote would be for the monthly monitoring fee. Because we are currently in a contract with Better Security, we have to send a registered letter to them by November 1st to let them know that we intend to terminate our contract. And I checked with the prosecutor's office, and those are the proper steps that we need to take.
What's the contract for?
We've been in contract with them since 2004, I believe. So, yeah. So
Ending term of the contract?
it was, I believe it automatically renews in February, which is why I want to get that sent out in November.
So why do we want to make the switch?
It's a more interactive panel that they're offering, where I can access it we can access it, deputies and ourselves, from our phones to disarm the panel, which then it lets you track everybody that disarms the panel because they all have separate user codes. If somebody leaves, we can immediately take the user code out, as opposed to Now we have to call Vetter Security and have them come out and they take the code out and put
Hmm.
codes in.
And they not offer, and I'm not saying we don't go with Vector, but, you know, Vetter's also local and I presume we may get a phone call here.
Vector's local.
Vector's local too, but I mean, you know, Bud's not shy of making a phone call.
Didn't we have a problem when we got broke in?
That wasn't Vetter's fault though. We had an older security system and didn't realize that the battery had gone dead.
Yeah, we didn't get a notification.
That wasn't on Vetter, to be fair, but I'm not opposed to the change. I'm just saying, so then can Vetter not offer the similar service or?
They can, I believe the price is a little bit less expensive that we have been offered through Vector.
So Vector's offering a better price,
Right.
for the same system.
And then we also have our security cameras through Vector as well.
So you said this would automatically renew in February. So assuming we approve this, it would not take effect till February, or you would terminate the contract early?
I wouldn't terminate it early. I would just send them notice that we,
We have to send notice by November or the contract would automatically renew in February. So this would put Vetter on notice that our contract with them would terminate in February.
It was like 90 days notice.
correct. And then the other thing that I wanted to ask the board is we have a side door where our drop-off kennels are at that typically is unlocked throughout the day. And we have had issues here lately with with members of the public just walking in to the side of the building to try and drop off dogs or to pick up dogs. And we don't always have staff over there. So I just wanted to look at what a security option would be where there's an access panel. Where somebody basically has a key fob to be allowed in so that way we just can't have people walking in willy-nilly with dogs that we're not prepared to take in or trying to take dogs that
How would you say willy-nilly in the minutes?
you put a hyphen between it. Willy hyphen nilly.
That's the name of the dog we're talking about. No.
I did name an animal willy-nilly once, so I'm sure you're surprised.
No.
So,
So it's unlocked during the day?
it is unlocked during the day simply because we have volunteers that also use that door to take dogs out when they walk them throughout the day.
And now we're announcing that to the public until we fix it. So don't write that, Carl.
So,
Volunteers in.
This is why you do the security stuff in executive session.
Oh, we're not going to executive session ever again. Next thing I know, you're going to call the attorney general and have me taken away in cuffs. But yes, we probably should have gone into executive session.
I mean, that's kind of what we're at right now with that situation. And the deputies bring the dogs in through there.
And how do we pay for all this?
This year, I will have a little bit of extra money in my budget.
Deputies bring the dogs in, then what are you doing for them to drop? You mean your deputies?
My deputies.
Okay.
Now, the sheriff's department, all of the local law enforcement agencies do have a key to our drop-off kennels for after hours if they pick something up. They usually keep it on station and deputy goes and gets it and then brings the dog over. But that is the other thing with if we switch over to Vector Security, they will also put a control panel right by that side door so that currently we have to go through the back, turn off the security system, go back around to the side, put the dog in, drive back around to the back, go set the security system before we leave. So it just kind of streamlines it a little bit when we're out there at like 1 a.m. So we like shortening the time that we have to spend there away from our beds.
You can afford all this within budget.
For the cost of the door. Yes.
So you're not asking for any monies outside your fund at this time for these two endeavors.
No, the monthly monitoring fee that will essentially stay the same, and that's already been accounted for in 2022 budget. So if we did go up to that, I did put that in there.
$48 a month going forward for the two. That's about what you're paying now.
No, right now we're paying about $25 a month for just the security system.
Motion to approve both.
Second.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes,
Commissioner Barrow.
Yes.
should have asked this earlier, but how long is this contract?
Very good question, and I will find out. I believe,
Not entering into it
Yeah.
yet.
yeah, so
We'll have to approve that once we get the Vector contract.
once I find out what we're doing, well, now that I know what we're doing, we can find that out, so. Talk to him.
There's an app you put on your phone.
Yes, yeah, it's,
Deputies will have that as well.
any staff member will have it.
These-
Yes, it's actually, I have the app for my alarm system in my house.
Each one has an identifier, so you know who did
Their own individual code, so you know every single person that is
timestamp.
it to, yes, so it's a nice feature all the way around. And it also lets you know, like, as soon as it sends an alarm to your phone if something happens outside of your normal business hours. So it's like a secondary to them calling you and alerting the local law enforcement too. I like it.
Security is good.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Quick question. Melissa, Missy, you said you're paying 25 a month right now with Vetter. Is that accurate?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. And what's I realize there's no new contract approved or offered yet with Vector, but you said they offered a better price for an improved system. What's that contract looking like? What's that cost?
I don't have the contract in front of me, but it would just be a more interactive for $5 more a month is what we were quoted.
And what is Vetter charge for that Better Interactive?
I don't have that in front of me.
Can you get that for him?
Yes, I can get that for you.
Thank you.
And I'm not, one of my favorite watering holes in Fostoria was called the Side Door Inn. And in honor of that watering hole, I'm not going to use any of the discussion about the security issues on the side door at this point.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, Carl.
All right, thank you.
Make sure you get Carl that information.
I will.
Thank you.
Well, let's go to other. First thing is to to certify the record of proceedings for October the 19th.
So moved.
Second,
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
yes,
Okay, can we approve the requisition?
So moved.
second,
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Can we approve the weekly transfer request?
So moved.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
yes.
And engineer would like to truck.
What's the matter? Gove can't ride a horse? So moved.
Second that with a note that actually signed for new plates on their 1988 truck that they still have in service.
That's being good stewards of the public's money right there.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes,
Okay. And can we authorize the advertising for the Mill Run Bridge via Bid Express?
So moved.
second,
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Have another we need to authorize the issuance of an overdimension permit. East Towing Service Incorporated to haul hydraulic excavator to the site located on Painter Road in Perry Township.
So moved.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
yes,
And can we authorize, approve the confidential agreement with Spectrum Mid-America LLC?
Real quick on this, if you're wondering what this is, so as you know, with ARPA dollars and state dollars and other federal monies, there's a real push, and I'm proud. This is something I'll give all government higher government levels, some kudos for is all across the country, there are areas that don't have high-speed internet access. So we have, myself, Jody Perry, and Joda Gaschetti have started a dialogue with Charter Spectrum Communications on our underserved areas in the county, and they are in the process of reviewing that. But as they are a corporation, they are not willing to share their costs and any potential match or last mile connection costs for us until obviously we sign an NDA, so we don't go and share information. So there was some back and forth with Charter's legal and our prosecutor's office. And so this is an acceptable NDA according to Mr. Keller and the prosecutor's office. So that is the basis for this. And at this time, I'm making that motion.
And I'll second it.
And then I need that to send to Charter wherever it ends up with you two.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes. We've been asked to authorize reimbursement to Common Pleas from the CARES funds. We're talking about sound system upgrade at Court 2 has been completed. $29,160.12.
So moved.
Commissioner Banks, Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Mears.
Yes.
Can we authorize entering into an agreement for phase 1 of restoration work for Day Springs Laundry and Boiler House?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
Okay. We're asked to authorize Commissioner Banks to sign 2 CDVG agreements, biennium. See, learn and die.
I can't think of a better person to sign this document. So moved.
Learn and die.
Nor could I.
The joys of being the chairman.
Ha ha.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
Okay, anybody have any other? Any questions, Carl?
Just a couple. If we can back up, Tony, you were talking about the high-speed internet access in underserved parts of the county. And I know you can't, it's just early in the process, but as you talked with Jody and Jodica, where are those most underserved locations of the county that don't have access to high speed right now?
So we have, it also depends on need and access, Carl, but right now it's the southwest portion of the county and the northeast portion of the county.
No, how long?
I don't mean to, I want to back
Yeah.
up a step too.
Yeah.
We're finding that there's areas along Route 13, which is a major thoroughfare in this state, that do not have high-speed access. So that's of particular importance to Jody, Jodica, and myself, right? So as you go more north, not everyone has high-speed internet access.
And with Charter, you said it was Charter Spectrum. Is that the name? I used to
Yes.
have cable, but I really don't anymore.
The
because they
NDA,
charge
the
too much,
exact,
but-
hold on, let me get you the exact name and oh wait, you have the NDA. not you. Cliff will read it. Cliff's got it.
Okay.
Now, what's your question, Carl?
What's the exact
What-
name of the
what-
company?
Yeah, what's the exact name of the company that you
Spectrum
signed the
Mid-
NDA?
Spectrum Mid America LLC.
Spectrum Mid America
LLC.
LLC. Okay. And are they looking at, in terms of them going over this with you, these are things where they would have to install hardwire, hard cable, towers, both?
I honestly, Carl, if you, technical questions, I just don't even feel comfortable answering. Let's boil it down to 20,000 foot level. Whatever they would need to do on their end to expand high-speed internet in our county.
Is that something that commissioners would look at, possible ARPA dollars? Because that's certainly something that's allowable as part of that.
I would think, but I won't speak for my other two partners here.
Think so too. That's part of what they've been pushing.
And it's not just ARPA money that's out there, Carl. You have the rural opportunity funding. I mean, there's a lot of broadband dollars out there. You'll see us here in the next couple weeks also pass a resolution and application to avail ourselves to a different set of dollars from Broadband Ohio. So these are just steps we're taking to get ourselves in the door to expand broadband in the county.
And I heard a commissioner on the radio this morning, although I think it was taped yesterday because he made some reference to yesterday, and I assume that
Shoot,
was
I
Tuesday.
tried to catch that. Dang it. It's more difficult than you think. You're talking in present and then future time.
I've heard Cliff as city council president many times. So I guess my question is, where are you in the interviewing process for maintenance and FEMA or EMA? And when do you think you might have a hiring announcement for those two spots?
I think we can, we've had interviews, and I'd say in about 2 weeks, we'll be announcing.
We have identified a candidate for EMA. As we talked about also on the record, we have potentially identified a candidate who will come in and administer our ARPA regulations or our procurement side, along with being a focal person for being a grant in the county. And then the maintenance is a little in flux. Obviously, we had interviews here. We've interviewed 2 internals and 2 externals. We are going to have some additional interviewing, and then based on how that goes, we'll have some decisions there. That's a little more in flux, I think, Carl. But if all goes well, we should have decisions on all 3 positions, by early November?
So target.
That's our target.
And the only one of those positions that is new is the ARPA administrator / grant person.
Correct, with a caveat that any time spent on ARPA is reimbursable through ARPA. You know, this board is very fiscally conscious, and if we add any headcount, we want to make sure that it's done at a very fiscally positive nature for the taxpayers.
Okay, that's all I had.
Hey, Carl, one thing you might want to note, you usually
Yeah.
ask this, is on Spectrum Mid-America LLC, they are based in St. Louis, Missouri.
You saved me a Google search. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, it is 10:27 and we stand adjourned.
Jot it down for one thing here.